Heather Folstad, and I'm going to discuss Jimmy Buffett's lifestyle choices and how, although his lifestyle appears to be pleasurable and supreme, it, however, is not the most healthy way of coping and dealing with stress. Stress has been defined as a stimulus response that can cause a variety of results. These outcomes include heart disease, cancer, hypertension, migraines, headaches, peptic ulcers, and allergies, as well as psychological issues. In a recent journal, Who's in Control of Stress or What, it stated that two reported characteristics of stress that impact people are a given situation that is perceived as threatening or demanding, and when someone feels as if they're insufficient or have they don't have the resources to cope with their situation that they're currently in. It is found that women were more likely to report that they talk to others or eat more or less when they deal with stress. Men were more likely to avoid people and drink alcohol to deal with stress as well, more than women. And this is something that Jimmy Buffett does repeatedly within his songs and in his life, as he escapes to an island and drinks alcohol and wishes for the problems to go away. Generally, demographics as well as gender have an impact on the way that people deal with stress in their life. And a recent survey was actually done that determined the effects of stress in someone's health and their coping strategies. When the survey was done, about 225 subjects were provided with two open-ended questions, one to describe how they dealt with stress as they experienced and describe the source of, and then to describe the source of the experience. In order to do so, they had to journal about different situations that happened throughout their life and then try to identify the source of the stressful experience that they had. Much feedback included temporary solutions to the symptoms of the stress that was experienced, and those strategies only provided minimal help. Coping strategies provided were spiritual activities, enrichment, medical attention, exercise involvement, escapism, and that could also be falling into the category of withdrawing. Withdrawing was the last way, the least effective way proven to deal with coping. It was said that withdrawal provides an unhealthy amount of disengagement. Although this tactic does provide a quick and even euphoric feeling, it enables abandoning reality and opens a window of opportunity for addiction, weight gain, and bad health. There are a variety of coping strategies that I found and that are taken when someone's under the pressure of stress. Coping is actually defined as someone that comes to terms how someone comes to terms and deals successfully with something to manage. It is misunderstood that there is no successful avoidance of the feeling of stress. Rather than trying to avoid or deal with emotions, it is said that the solution is just to manage. A way of doing this that was reported in some of the sources that I found were to make a stress journal, and this will help to identify regular stressors in someone's life. And the goal would be to establish a pattern and common theme to tackle the issues at hand. Then by trial and error, you can identify what coping strategies work best for you with stress as it comes in your life. It's important to learn about various coping strategies due to there being more than one way of dealing with something, depending on who you are and what works best for you. So by evaluating and discovering the patterns and changes that impact your life and the people that you even encounter when your pressure comes, this will help you to change your situation, and your stress levels will also decrease. However, changing the environment that you're in doesn't change the way that you're mentally and psychologically dealing with life. So although changing an environment might provide a temporary relief, for Jimmy Buffett, that could mean him laying by a seashore, drinking beer, eating sponge cake. Later, he'll then receive or experience a rush of anxieties and pressures with life. So, although that strategy of coping seemed relieving for a moment, it wouldn't provide a permanent solution. So when deciding on what coping strategy is important, you have to think about 4 important things. And these include avoiding, adapting, and accepting. Actually, 3 important things. No, 4. Avoiding, altering, adapting, and accepting. Due to the levels of reactions being dependent on an individual, trial and error will be a great tool to determine what works and what doesn't work for you. And unfortunately, there is no prescription to the best coping strategy for stress, but by doing this, you can determine what works best. Avoiding unnecessary stress is different from also avoiding the causation of stress. It's not healthy to avoid a situation, especially if it needs to be addressed. However, by avoiding stress, it's not necessarily a great way to do things, and that would also include eliminating factors that might help the coping mechanism of stress, rather than avoiding all stress at hand. One of the easier steps that can be taken is just to learn to say no to things, to identify personal limits and boundaries in your schedule as well as your daily life, and having things in your life that you're not willing to compromise. By taking more than someone can handle is a definite way of stress levels to be increased. Furthermore, another step that could be easier said than done would be to avoid people in your life that cause stress levels. This wouldn't necessarily mean running away from people in your life, but it could be it could be done by determining who causes different levels of stress in your life and the levels of stress and how high or low they may be, and possibly perhaps eliminating the friendships that just aren't healthy, or limiting time spent with those people. Audiences that are attracted to this music gives the impression to people that this is a great thing to do, to retreat away from life. Although many perhaps are not running away from stresses like the subject is in most of his songs, Buffett does encourage a sort of living that is out of touch with reality. The theme in all of his songs delivers a message that approves of this way of life that is incoherent and unhealthy with the issues of stress as they come. Research has shown that withdrawing from the world, like Buffett suggests, provides a temporary solution and deals with the symptom rather than the root of the issue. Although temporary relief seems feasible and enjoyable, to establish long-lasting results in dealing with stress, further action must be taken. Running away from life will not alleviate emotional or psychological distress, but rather enable an unhealthy balance of compressing issues at hand. Once again, Buffett's choice of life is attractive and appealing. However, it encourages an unhealthy way of dealing with stress as it comes, and is inappropriate and unproductive. Thank you so much.